began the genocide, at least 93 million Native American lives were lost. This was followed by President Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act, where Native tribes were forcefully removed from their homelands to make way for European settlements. Another well-known policy is Indian boarding schools, where Native children over a 100-year period were removed from their homes and forced to attend boarding schools, often far away from their homes, in order to be assimilated. These children were stripped of their languages, customs, and culture. The goal was to kill the Indian and save the man. In addition to these policies, there have been policies that have included eugenics, forced adoptions, Indian Relocation Act, allotment, termination, as well as others. These policies and traditions show no respect to Native Americans. There were policies that were enacted on them, and the people they would impact were not consulted. And yet Native Americans still exist. They have endured and will continue to do so. There are 11 federally recognized tribes of Wisconsin. They were not exempt to any of these policies that I've mentioned. These 11 tribes have called together for the elimination of race-based mascots, particularly those that use images of Native Americans such as ours. If we want to show respect, we will honor their request. Many non-Native allies, like myself, understand that ignoring the requests of tribes is no different than the policies I spoke of. We are fighting locally and nationally to rid ourselves of this oppression. Now, resistance has become the new tradition. As allies, we have stories to tell. My initial ambivalence toward this mascot ended when I began an anti-racist education at UWM that put me in contact with fellow PhD students and professors who were from minority populations. Their histories and life experiences were very different than mine, and I learned to understand this alternate viewpoint. Understanding this viewpoint ignites a level of discomfort. Understanding this discomfort means that the history was there all along. You just didn't know it. You just didn't learn it. The history caused the poverty as well as a host of other heartaches, not the other way around. After the initial discomfort, you are faced with the realization, myself included, that you need to do something about it. And that is the tradition of resistance. As with any controversy, there are strong feelings on both sides. But the tradition of keeping the mascot in the face of this resistance places our community engulfed in tacit approval of a tradition that we have chosen to pass along to our children and grandchildren. Rather than solidarity with the Indian people, we have chosen to defy mountains of research that clearly shows the damage of these stereotypes for all children. Since you, the school board, are in charge of protecting our children from promoting stereotypes, the very fact that we have this mascot promotes what you say you are not doing, which is promoting stereotypes. The school board, as a local legislative body, has the power to tap into this resistance at any time. You should be aligning yourselves with the resistance effort, teaching the community why it's wrong. 30 of 60 Wisconsin schools have already eliminated Indian mascots. What happens when you don't pay attention to race? This is the education that our children are not getting. I'm leaving you tonight with an invitation to the Wisconsin American Indian Studies Summer Institute, which is an opportunity to send some of our faculty from Mukwonago to Lac Flambeau for an intensive 5-day session with Native curriculum specialists to learn and grow with Act 31, which I feel has been largely ignored here. Thank you.
I will give these to, I should give these to
Sean?
Yeah, thank you. All right, the next one is Paula Mohan from Mascot.
Hi, my name is, can you hear me? My name is Paula Mohan. I teach American Indian Studies at UW-Madison. I am not Native, but I do identify as an ally. And I first became aware of issues in Wisconsin dealing with natives because I grew up in northern Wisconsin, and I was in high school during the spearfishing issue. And it was, I knew nothing, Act 31 was not in existence when I went to high school, so I knew nothing about the history, I didn't know about sovereignty, I didn't know about tribes, I didn't understand why tribes were able to spearfish and why they were able to spear outside of fishing season without a license. And the uproar in our communities was such that we all became educated very quickly because we had to. I mean, it was really a dramatic sort of thing. So when Act 31 was passed, and it was largely in response to the impact of what happened then, it was, we are never going to allow this to happen in Wisconsin again. We're going to make sure that our students understand the history, that our teachers understand the history, their families do, that politically we know that there's a different governmental structure that's there. And it must have affected me because then I went on to do a dissertation on it. I'm here today to back up what Sandy said and to urge you to make a change in educational policy and consider transitioning your mascot to one that is not race-based. And I say that because, you know, driving through this town, this is a beautiful town, and you have a beautiful school, and you have incredible students. I heard you give a report last November on some of the fundraising that you were doing, and I was just impressed with how much energy this school district has and how much potential. And there are, as Sandy said, there are traditions that are changing all over. You know, I certainly grew up with believing Cowboys and Indians movies, and I certainly grew up not knowing much of the history of the state. But it is there, and it is hidden. I mean, I think it's really interesting that last Friday in Minneapolis, they changed the name of Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. And they did that really symbolically because they've gone back and they've looked at the history, and while we can certainly appreciate the exploratory vision that Christopher Columbus had in going into unknown territories, they can also look at the fact that there were people here and that was emerging of two different cultures. And there's emerging now of different cultures across the state. I also want to urge you to follow up on Sandy's suggestion to sponsor some faculty to go to the Summer Institute or go to it yourselves, because administrators also go to it. I've gone to it 4 years, and I've learned so much every time. It's cultural immersion. You have tribal leaders, you have cultural educators, they come, they give you stories. There's also a feast. I don't want to use that as a pull-in, but the fried bread, the wild rice, and the food that you get, and there's a dance, is a draw all in itself. But what you get is the ability to talk to other educators across the state of Wisconsin, tribal leaders, copies of the best curriculum that they have to talk about some of the past history. And then when educators leave it, they come back really prepared to implement Act 31 in a new way. And if there's anything that we can do in the American Indian Studies program in Madison to help, we will actually do that. We think, again, this is a wonderful school. They have bright students who have so much potential, and if we can help change, metaphorically, Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, we'd love to help you do that.
All right, next we have Barb Munson.
Thanks, my name is Barbara Munson, and I'm a woman of the United Nations. I chair the Indian Mascot and Logo Task Force for Wisconsin Indian Education Association. I'm really pleased to meet new people on the school board. I hope that you enjoy continuing the dialogue that we have been having here about the use of race-based stereotypes in the public schools. And I want you to know that as school board members, you are the ones who have the decision-making power. You are the ones who decide policy. So I always think it is most important to talk to school boards, because you are the ones who, when your hearts and minds understand what's at risk for your children, you are the ones who also create the pathway for them to receive really the best education. So I encourage you at any time to consider changing the use of the Indian team name. I know sometimes people from Mukwonago send me emails or talk to me and they say we don't have a mascot, but what you are dealing with is mascot-free, and it is a mascot, even when it's just a team name. And the team name Indians really is, in and of itself, probably the worst of the names, because what it does is it generalizes 565 separate different nations under one name. And that in itself creates a stereotype. Usually the stereotype of a Plains Indian warrior in feathered headdress in profile. Also, without the team name Indians, you would not have a feeder team called the Braves. You wouldn't be thinking about feathers and headdresses or teepees or any other accoutrement that has to do with native culture. You would not be mocking native cultures in any way if you didn't have the team name. There would be no reason to do so. But I wanted to share with you is two things. One is, here's a great book, another book. This is Everything You Wanted to Know About Indians But Were Afraid to Ask by Anton Troyer. And I'm bringing this up because Dr. Anton Troyer just has written another book, which is going to be on sale October 7th, 2014, called The Atlas of Indian Nations. And it's really going to be an excellent, excellent resource. So I hope that you will look at these. But as I say that, I want you to be aware that these are both idea books. This is about themes and ideas, really important ones that have to do with Indian Ed. But they are not specific to Wisconsin Indian tribes. And Act 31 really is about Wisconsin Indian tribes and tribal sovereignty. So I would suggest, as everyone else has so far today, that you consider looking at the American Indian Studies Summer Institute as a really good way to bring some faculty, some staff, some school board members up to speed on Indian Ed in a really enjoyable way. It's really nice. It's really nice to be a guest of a tribe for a week in an educational setting. So it really is a good place to be. I wanted to share one other thing with you, and that is what we're doing, or what we just did as Indian educators at our Indian Ed conference. There's something going on right now on the national level, an anti-mascot campaign that the National Congress of American Indians is doing. And it's called the hashtag proud to be, and then you say something, and the hashtag not your mascot. So at our convention, what we did was we asked people if they wanted to participate, and we took their pictures with their signs. There's a wonderful video here if you want to get more faces. You'll find them on this video, and I'll give this to you. This first one is by Dr. Anton Troyer, whose book I was shamelessly promoting here. And as you can see, there are a great many people who are Indian educators in Wisconsin, proud to say that they're Anishinaabe and Muskogee, proud to say that they're a tribal executive, proud to say that they are the Bad River Tribal Chair. And there are a lot of allies as well who are proud to be standing with the human race, who are proud to be standing with other people as we work towards eliminating a form of race-based stereotyping from Wisconsin public schools. I thank you very much for your time.
Okay, next we have Sherri Jones.
called Wendy the Hooper, WI, and I am also Native American. And I went to a protest downtown. Got a message from Rachel Byington that they were having a protest for the school mascot named Indians from this school. And that was a game that was playing at the Kohl Center. So I went out there, and what I saw was a bunch of really positive people with signs, with protest signs, and there were a lot of people that were walking by. So what I did was I videoed the crowd as they were coming through and the response to the crowd. And we had a really great response to the crowd of people that were walking by saying, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. One gal took her hand and put it to her heart and said, this means so much to me. There were people yelling and clapping and saying, it's about time, and they were shaking their arms up in the air, excited and jumping around. And we had a few hecklers that were fans of the name Indians, but there wasn't very many. It was mostly positive people. And Rachel Byington being out there, I would take it that a lot of the news people knew who she was. They went there to video the game, things that were going on in the game, get the scoop of that. But when they saw Rachel out there and they saw the response of all the people, of how happy they were to see the protesters out there, they went right over and started talking to her. And so she ended up on 2 news channels and then in the Capital Times. I think it was 15 and 27 in the Capital Times. And all of them said that they never expected to see that, and that it was a positive crowd of people walking by. And you know, they just were there to get the story on the game. But anyways, I took some pictures and I played the show of some of the videos, and I had a lot of really positive feedback. You know, people saying that they thought that, you know, what we were doing with that protest there was really good. And I think that, you know, what we were saying was that it's harmful for children. Anything that seems racist within a school system is harmful for children, of all cultures, all nationalities. And I have some pictures here for the people here, of the signs that people were holding. There is no honor in racism. And then also, when I went to the website, I found something, website for the school here, I found something that to me was very upsetting, because one of my things is religious studies, symbology and different things. I saw this. This is actually being used. It's on the website. It's on the website. It was under boys varsity basketball. Do you recognize this? Because I hadn't seen it before, but I saw it a while back on the page, but this is actually on the website. So I'm asking please somebody possibly to go under where it says varsity, and because this is not, it's the opposite end of the white supremacist fist. And sometimes the color black means blue or blue means black. And so there's a blue in the center, which could signify as being black. Okay, now here is the white supremacist fist. Okay? Okay, this here is a 5-pointed star. The center of this, like that, means male. And it means male private area, which is the same symbol as this. This is the center of a 5-pointed star. You look in the olden days of the KKK, you know, the first types of clothing they started wearing before the pointed hats, they had things over the head, they had the pants.
Okay, you have 1 minute.
Oh, I didn't know if I was being continue or not. Okay, the pants all have that symbol in the private area. Well, this one doesn't, but these two do. And so I don't know if I have enough copies of these for everybody, but I do have enough copies of the positive pictures here. And then also there's a symbol that's similar to that that's used by the KKK and satanic cults that is similar to this symbol, but this actually is the center of a 5-pointed star. So I mean, it's just, I thought it was really odd that I found it. I think it's kind of old, but the name Indians is also, you know, something that's harmful, and I myself experienced things when I was young in a white school, you know, when people found out that I wasn't all white. They wanted to take me out of the school in the beginning of the school year because I was dark complected in the beginning of the year.
Okay,
So,
you wrap it up.
okay, all right. What we've been finding is that things are harmful for children, and we're hoping that we do something to change this thing, or, you know, to make finding unique that it's positive for all children in the school, something that will make everybody happy. Bring things newer, bring things up to date, make them more lively.
Thank you. All right, you have 1 minute. Barbara Sutton, you're in trouble.
Good job, Barb said, make sure you leave your pictures.